My name is Jack Ames. I'm the founder and director of Defend Life. Find out more about us by visiting defendlife.org. We're here this morning to make a statement about a botched abortion committed by Romeo Ferrer 4 years ago. That was 2006. That resulted in the death of a 21-year-old woman from here in Baltimore City. We're also here to find out why it was covered up for 4 years, and not till tomorrow will there be a hearing to consider possible sanctions against Romeo Ferrer, who committed this botched abortion. Each one of the speakers will introduce himself or herself.
Good morning. My name is Bishop Harry Jackson. I am the senior pastor of Hope Christian Church and the leader of the High Impact Leadership Coalition National Organization. I'm joined here by several other pastors, Pastor Alfred Dees, Pastor Luke Robinson from Cumberland and Frederick, Maryland, respectively. We are outraged that there is genocide that is aimed and targeted at the black community. Black abortions have skyrocketed, and they're over 3 times the number of our percentage of the population. We are at a critical moment. But we have one question that we want to ask those who are convening tomorrow. Do black lives count? We want them to consider the fact that time and time again we have seen the outrage of black blood shed in the street and nothing happens in response. The religious community is outraged, and we are tired of black babies being aborted and young black women being destroyed. Their lives must count for something. If you have a heart, if you have a conscience, I say this to those who are on the boards, our legislators must write new laws. You must decide that black lives count too. This may sound very, very challenging, but unless we get it together right now, we are going to see an entire generation of African Americans die because of the convenience of the moment, or be murdered and their blood left lying on the floor because of the inability of one person to stand up and do what's right. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Kurt Lindemann. I am the Executive Director of CBR Maryland, which is a regional office of the Center for Bioethical Reform. We are here today because of the death of an innocent 21-year-old African American woman who died at the hands of Dr. Romeo Ferrer. Due to his negligence and the lack of oversight of the abortion industry, this woman perished. Her child is left alone because of what is not available to us in terms of regulation of an industry. We know that abortion kills an innocent human being. That in abortion, it's an indefensible act of violence against a preborn human being. And we now know with further confidence that not only does abortion kill a child, but it harms and kills women. We stand up on behalf of those women who are looking for medical care, which we may not agree with, but they deserve medical care, and they did not get it, and they do not get it in the abortion industry. We're calling upon the Maryland State Board of Physicians to permanently revoke the license of Dr. Romeo Ferrer.
Yeah.
Secondly,
Absolutely.
we are calling upon the state of Maryland to permanently close Gynecare, the abortion clinic that was where Dr. Ferrer practiced.
Yes.
And finally, we're calling on the state of Maryland to be the first state in our nation to establish new and rigorous protocol for the abortion industry, which would prevent such type of injuries. What needs to be established is practices, protocols, procedures, and the oversight of the medical staff and the abortion industry in total. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Delegate Tony O'Donnell. I represent Calvert and St. Mary's County in the General Assembly, and I'm also the Minority Leader in the House of Delegates. This event 4 years ago was a horrible, horrible tragedy. But we have an obligation as policymakers in the state of Maryland to ensure that regulation is appropriate and that regulation is fair. Right now, these clinics are not regulated whatsoever in the state of Maryland. They're very, very laxly regulated. They don't have the protocols in place. They don't have the statutory requirements for inspection. We don't collect data on what is going on in these clinics in terms of when people are injured, in terms of when there are cases like this, terrible loss of life of this woman. And we need to do that. So I'm here to say that the Maryland General Assembly needs to take this up next year. We need to take it up in a very, very high profile way. We have some legislators who are here with us today. My good friend Tony McConkey from District 33, where this clinic existed, is here with his little daughter Edna with us today. We're glad to have them here. So I'm just here to say we need to pay attention to this as policymakers, and the state of Maryland has an obligation. If we're going to regulate all the professional trades, if we're going to regulate veterinary clinics, if we're going to regulate all types of other clinics, then we must regulate clinics where women are getting invasive procedures and their health is at risk. We have that moral obligation. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Pamela Palumbo, CEO of the Bowie Crofton and Severna Park Pregnancy Clinics. And I'm here to state today that all women in Maryland deserve protection when they're undergoing surgical procedures. Yes. The state of Maryland is currently allowing medical practitioners to practice without regard to women's health, and the result of this direct result is the death of this 21-year-old woman. Dr. Romeo Farrar, this was not an isolated incident. He's a repeat offender in the state of Maryland. As far back as 1988, there's public records noting that. The State Board of Quality Assurance cases 89331, 89332, 89347, and 90007. Repeatedly, he has faced what amounts to hand slaps from the old boy network of physician reviewers. I can personally and professionally attest to the appalling conditions of the offices used by Dr. Farrar from 1996 until 2006, because we moved into those offices as he left them when we rented them for the pregnancy clinic in Severna Park. I found and have pictures of blood on the floor of all three surgical rooms and the laboratory. Surgical sponges with dried blood littered the floor, and even the walls were splattered with an unknown substance. An investigation needs to be conducted on his compliance with HIPAA as well. Dr. Farrar also left behind records of patients that contain information including patients' names, number of past abortions, gestational age of the fetuses, procedural history, payment information. Noting from these records that 20 of these women, 2/3 of them paid cash, we are also calling for an investigation by the state and federal tax investigators into his finances and tax payments as well. In the current absence of adequate regulations on abortion clinics, the Physicians Board needs to put abortion businesses on notice that medical malpractice will not be tolerated. Yet what has taken 4 years for this to be brought before the board? How many more women have been harmed that we don't even know about yet? Yes. And the looming question is, why does the state of Maryland grant special exemption to abortion clinics? They refuse to regulate them at the same level as other ambulatory surgical businesses that many of us, you and I included, have gone to in the past and trusted to be safe. Women in Maryland cannot trust that abortion is safe, regardless of what our state claims. This leads directly to abortion clinics having wanton disregard for the health of women, knowing that they are above the law in Maryland, and they are facing no regulations or consequences from the Physicians Board, our legislature, or our state's Attorney General. We are calling upon the legislatures to protect the public from physician malpractice at abortion clinics. The seriousness of this latest medical malpractice act of this young woman's death This young African-American woman demands a revocation of Romeo Ferrar's license to ever practice the art of medicine in the state of Maryland or elsewhere.
Yeah.
Anything less, anything less is sweeping this under the rug, which has now left a woman dead and a young child an orphan. African American women deserve protection under the law. Yeah. All women deserve protection under the law, and we're calling on the state of Maryland to do so now. Thank you.